Welcome back to Hurley's Hobbies. I've been working on the GeeBee. I'll show you what I got done. Let's get it building. I've been working on the elevators. I'll show you what I got done on those. And my main wing tubes come in. I end up going with carbon fiber. If I remember right, I end up getting these cheaper than what I could actually get aluminum for by the time you paid for shipping. And I got them from, I think it's Composite Evisions. I'll leave if I remember, I'll leave a link in the description below where I got them from. And they're right here next to us in Wisconsin. And they look pretty good. Um, I got these wing tubes off of eBay. And I made the sleeves for them. But when I cut the laser out, I forgot to add in for the sleeve. So the sleeve, I had to cut it and put it in between the ribs. I could have built them before I built the elevators or drilled them out, but then you take a chance of not getting them centered. So I decided to just put the sock in between, and it took a little bit of work to get them to, because you don't want to, when you glue them, you don't want to glue them to the tube to glue them in, because you got to slide the tube in it. So I glued them, tacked them, and then went back and glued them, and I put a piece of sandpaper on a tube, and then I would go inside. This is a smaller tube than this one, a little bit smaller, and then I would go through and I would sand them to make sure the wing tube would slide in them. I did get a little bit of glue on these wing tubes, so I got to get that glue off of them by doing that. And I decided on the other wing tube, which is actually the same size as this. Instead of cutting the sock in between, I picked up another size wing tube, which is way smaller. But by the time I put the sock on it, I think it's going to work out, because it was designed to have a smaller one in the front, and I changed them to the same size. But I think on the front one, I am going to go back to the smaller one again and just make a sock for it. So I actually got two of these, and I got two of these, but I'm only going to use one on each. And then, so I got these built. I got my hole cut out. I might have to expand it a little bit more. I just wanted to get it close. Got the servo in. These were extremely hard to build. You got to take steam and heat this 3/8 by 3/8 up and soften it as best you can to get it to wrap around that, to get it to form to it. But that's not as easy as it sounds, because it still wants to bow this. By the time you get it together, it wants to bow it. So what I did is I took one of my long straight edges, put it on here, and clamped it, and then sheeted it to make sure it was straight. I had the straight edge on it, holding it straight, and then sheeted it, and then that made it straight again. And for the control surface, this one here, I don't have it finished sanded yet. I laser cutted these, even though I went with the size that was exactly on the plans on the laser and cut these out. They got it straight on the laser, and it should have like had a taper to it. So let me show you the other one. The other one, I put another piece of balsa on here, thin piece, and then sanded it to get my shape, because you got to taper it anyways, so I didn't come all the way out. So these they're not complete. I still got to put the covering around them. There's still another covering that will come up somewhat here, down through here and up. This part here will be fully sheeted. There'll be one that comes down this way, and then you do your ribs. And I also put the blocks in. I had thought about doing um, running a rod through and making composite hinges, but on these I'm just going to use the Robart hinges. I decided just to do the Robart, even though I did use the rod to help make sure they were straight and they were all the same. And the other problem I had with these, they had little blocks here coming out on the wings, and the next block was like offset right here, and it made it really hard to put these together because they wanted you to only put blocks in between these long blocks. They only wanted them. Looks like to me they only wanted it in between each one of these, and that did not make sense to me. Why would you want to do that when it should be a solid piece of wood so it doesn't want to break? So I did it this way. Um, I'm probably going to come back and put little tiny triangles in here to help strengthen these a little bit. I got to do that before I cover it. I already did it on these, even up to here and then down to here. I put blocks in there, and on the control surface, I forgot and put this block in, and I actually need a piece of a harder wood to go in here so when my control goes through it. So this block here I'll probably take back out and make a bigger one. So then when I put my control surface into it, it has something more solid to it. I got to do both of those, redo those. But and then I also put my servos into both of them. I'm decided I'm just going to leave them in there and build it with them in there. I'm not going to take them back out. So that's one of the reasons why I still have the plans here. I wanted to show you that I actually built this side on the plans, and they don't show the other half. You're actually supposed to probably flip the plans upside down and try to build it from the underside, seeing through. But instead of that, I actually built or laser cut another board. So I took my laser and just etched and reversed it and etched it onto a board. I can still use the board. It's just 1/8" ply. I just glued some pieces to it so to make sure it went over. And I can still use this on to laser cut for another kid if I want to. So instead of trying to flip this over, I just made a template on a board. I actually screwed the board down. That's why the holes are in it, to make sure it stayed nice and flat. And so, like I say, so now I have the other one. The big main wings is going to be a little bit harder to do that on because I do believe the main wings only have for one side too. But what I can do is probably go get some thicker paper, bigger sheets of paper for like drawing on, and actually laser cut it, etch it out on that, laser cut it, or I do have a pencil or a pen attachment for my laser, and I can actually just draw it out with the pen with the laser instead of etching it. But this worked out really nice. You know, we could see it really well. It was a little harder to pin, but it still worked out good. And this is the steamer I bought. It was like $30 off Amazon, something like that. Abyssal, and it came with the cup to put the water into it, and it actually steams really nice. You just put the water in it, turn it on, and then when you hit this button and pull it, it'll start shooting steam out of it. And it actually worked really, really good. And I can use this, or my wife can use this around the house still too. So, but just make sure you use distilled water in it. Don't use tap water. You'll probably gum it up inside. So I actually bought a jug of distilled water, and it goes a long way. So, but I did pick this up, and this is just one of the attachments that come to it. It does have a hose that attaches to it and stuff, but it actually worked pretty good. It puts out a lot of steam, so that's how I steamed it. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. The reason why I didn't show building the elevators is because it was pain. It was a real pain to build these elevators. Like I said before, I think this plane was made to be done in a jig, and somebody's trying to design it to go on plans. But the way they did it with these ribs, it was not working out really well, and it was, if I actually videoed it, it would have been like horrible because it. I don't know if it would have been horrible, but it was just it was they were really extremely difficult to get those to where I needed them. Um, to make sure they stayed straight, to make sure they were, with the steam in and everything else. It was it was a lot of work. Um, it actually took me weeks and weeks just to get to this point with them, and so I don't know how I would have broke the video up and showed you how I was doing it, because it just the way they had them, it was just extremely difficult. So that's why I didn't end up videoing none of it, because I started videoing it and it was just it was just a nightmare. Yeah, so once we get the main wings done, I'll try to video that, and then we gotta get it covered. I'm probably gonna go with silk and dope, and I actually bought the SIG silk and dope and everything. So because I really like to try the SIG stuff, was told it was a lot easier than actually using the silk and dope for a real plane. So, but yeah, we got to get the canopy done. I got to make a plug for that so I can get that done. I'll probably put the motor on, and then like cover it with foam and shape it, and then I can fiberglass that and get that done. And then we got to move on to the landing gear. All the aluminum landing gear has to be made, and um, all the fiberglass covering for that, which have to be made out of foam and then fiberglass. Only thing that's nice about that is both sides will be the same. The fiberglass parts will be the same for you to make them for both sides. So, um, but it's coming along. Um, I haven't just been doing nothing. I actually been building quite a bit, and it's like I say, these elevators. They were just a nightmare to put together. Just the way they had the little blocks on the ribs themselves, where you're supposed to make them level, they weren't even level. The way they put them on there is like they just threw them on there and never checked and make sure they're the same. So if you stuck the ribs and actually centered the ribs by using the little like if I put the rod through here and put the rod through and then centered it on this end like they were supposed to be, all of the little tabs they had off, they were like this all the way through there. Yeah, you could have took them and sanded them all the same, but that's what I'm saying. I think they just like threw them on them as they put the plans out, because they weren't level. It probably would have been easier for me to go through, like I say, clamp them together and then level them, and then they would have came out better before I actually started putting it together. but I didn't start realizing that they were off until I started putting it together. So it just, like I say, it just made it really difficult. So um, what I'll do is I'll probably show you on the computer how they got them on there. Like I say, they weren't even close to being together. I mean, some of them were more than an eighth of an inch from the one next to it. So they were like, it was horrible. So well, we're back on the computer here, and you can see going across here that it looks like they had the ribs planned to go straight through, and you're only supposed to fill in between. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted them solid across. And if we go down here, and this is the rib, the side view, and that's what I use to make the centerpieces. And it needs to bow more, have more of a bow in it. So that's why I added those pieces on instead of trying to bow this, which would probably have been pretty difficult. And then if we zoom in a little bit here, and I will take the ribs and overlay them over top of each other. Take this one, we'll try to center that little dot. And you can see they're off a little bit. They're not just off with each other, they're off all the way across here. Let's grab this one. And we'll put this one over top of it. Let's zoom in a little bit. You can see how they're off. They're off here, off here, off here. They're not on with each other. So that's what I was talking about when I say that these were not the same. I didn't notice it when I cut them. And you can see how they're not, none of them are the same going all the way across, and I don't think they're even together going this way across. So that's what made it extremely difficult. My daughter made these shirts for me. I got some different ones, and she's gonna make me some hats and stuff. I'm not set up to do merch and stuff, but if somebody is interested in one, my daughter can do it, and I have different designs that she's doing. She's gonna do a Corsair and a P-51 Mustang. So maybe someday I'll have merch, but I don't know. I thought they were pretty cool, so maybe someday I might have some merch out there for you guys to get if you're interested. But if you like what you're seeing, please like, subscribe, and share the videos. And don't forget to leave a comment. We'll see you on the next one. Keep it building. I'm a with no brain.